Hello learners, this is Dr. Anupriya Patra, Assistant Professor of English, Sri Narayana Guru Open University. And today, we will deal with Block 1, Unit 1, Introduction to Women's Writing of M21EG06DE, Women's Writing. So, let us look at how women's writing began. The beginnings of women's writing were through personal forms like diaries and letters, and they focused on intimate aspects of women's life. Unlike male-dominated literature, these early works capture unique experiences of family, friendships, and social roles, forming a foundation for the future literary themes by women writers. And what were the themes these women writers dealt with? The core themes were family dynamics, social expectations, and the complexity of female identities. These works mostly explored the struggles women faced when pursuing writing professionally because of the patriarchal norms marginalizing them in publishing and academia and limiting their creative expression. Moreover, from this, there was also historical marginalization. Women were considered angel in the house, and they were confined to passive roles. Many women writers used pseudonyms to avoid such kind of judgments, and their works were often viewed as inferior, facing resistance before gradually gaining recognition. Let us now move on to Elaine Showalter's theory of phases. Showalter's model describes women's writing in 3 stages. First is the feminine phase, which emulates male styles. Second, the feminist phase, advocating for rights. And the third, female phase, celebrating self-discovery and identity. This theory illustrates the evolution of women literature from imitation to an authentic, distinct voice. And what is écriture féminine and aesthetics of women's writing? Pioneered by theorists like Helen Sixou, écriture féminine is a distinctive style defined by fragmentation and emotional expressiveness. This very approach, it challenges the traditional literary norms, like the using of techniques like puns and gaps to convey female experience, like what was used by Emily Dickinson in her symbolic experimental poetry. Who were the early pioneers of women's writing? They were Sappho, Roswitha, and Christine de Pizan. In the 17th century, the key writers were Aphra Behn, Anne Finch, and Mary Wollstonecraft. These writers explored realism and historical themes, often questioning social norms. The prominent 19th century writers were Fanny Burney, Jane Austen, the Brontes, and Mary Shelley. Their novels explored domestic life and ethical questions. Moving on to the 20th century, Virginia Woolf and Gertrude Stein, they revolutionized writing by experimenting with narrative form and language. And about women's writings and feminist movements, writers like Maya Angelou, Andrew Rich, and Audre Lorde, they addressed issues of race, class, and sexuality. And this period also marked a broadened focus on intersectionality, with women's literature being used as a tool for cultural critique and activism. And there were global contributions. These contributions were from black writers like Alice Walker, Toni Morrison, and even post-colonial writers like Jean Rice. They all together expanded this genre, and they addressed intersectional themes and challenging dominant narratives from diverse social and cultural backgrounds. Now, let us move on to feminism and different kinds of feminisms. What is feminism? It is a movement that advocates gender equality where both in law and practice. It aims to end sexism, exploitation, and oppression. And what is black feminism? Black feminism, it addresses the unique oppression of black women at the intersections of race, class, and gender. It emerged as a response to the exclusion of black women's experiences from mainstream feminism. This blackstream feminism, it emphasizes equality and representation in feminist movements. And what is the concept of intersectionality by Kimberly Crenshaw? This concept highlights how race and gender oppression uniquely affect black women. That's it. And black feminism, it continues today also in movements like Black Lives Matter and Me Too. The next type of feminism is post-colonial feminism. Post-colonial feminism, it critiques the way colonialism affects women. It argues that Western feminist ideas cannot universally represent women from colonial backgrounds. It focuses on issues such as migration, representation, and patriarchy, challenging colonial legacies and offering a nuanced approach to understanding non-Western women's struggles for empowerment. Moving on to Indian feminism. Indian feminism is rooted in the colonial period, and it began with figures like Rajaram Mohan Roy, who advocated against sati and child marriage. Modern Indian feminist movements address issues like dowry deaths, domestic violence, and also focus on the inclusivity for Dalit, Adivasi, and rural women. The next is multiracial feminism. This kind of feminism recognizes the diverse experience of women of color, addressing race, class, and gender intersections. Historically termed Third World Feminism, this type advocates for a global perspective on women's rights. The key principles include acknowledging racial histories, political activism, and opposing heterosexism, supporting a truly inclusive feminism. The next is ecofeminism. Ecofeminism, it links environmental degradation to the oppression of women. It argues that patriarchal domination harms both environment and women. Coined by Francois d'Aubonne, ecofeminism critiques values that prioritize men and culture over women and nature. This ecofeminism, it advocates for eco-friendly practices that respect both gender equality and environmental health. Ecofeminist thinkers like Rachel Carson, Vandana Shiva, Carolyn Merchant, they all explore the connections between ecology and feminism. They continue dualistic thinking that separates nature from culture and advocate for harmonious, sustainable practices. And this is the brief introduction for women's writing and feminism and different kinds of feminism. Hope you have understood it. Thank you.